Hi, my name is Mary Malone of Coldwell Realty in the Luxe Service Group. Thanks for joining us. Before you leave today, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm here today with our top producing real estate team member, Jessica McGourty. Jessica, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, Jessica, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I have been in real estate. This is my 10th year, born and raised in Hunterdon County. After I got married, we did move to Warren County for almost 20 years, and we moved back to Hunterdon County 3 years ago. Also, I'm married. I do have four children. Three of them are adults, which is a whole new venture in itself.
Oh, I get that. Yes, I have four children as well. Three are adults, one still left in high school. Almost there.
Almost.
So, an important question to you, why do you think it's valuable for your business to be on a team?
So for me, and I get this question a lot, right? Especially as an experienced agent who joined a team within the last 2 years. For me, it was all about the service that we can provide as a team, right? We are a team of 7 women. There's always somebody available for our clients. There's always somebody available to cover, just being able to provide that service isn't something I can do as a solo agent. Beyond that, the ability to stretch our marketing and our advertising amongst all of our spheres does give us all more coverage as well.
Well, I love the fact that we really try to market all of our listings within the team. So if you have
Mhm.
a client who has a home that's sitting on the market, our group of 7 team members will dive deep into our database and
Mhm.
try to sell it within the team as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been very helpful, right? We have our weekly team meetings and we kind of go over what we have coming on, any questions that we have. Do we have any buyers that would fit any of the off-market properties that we have? Just the excitement between, oh my gosh, I might have someone. Let me reach out. Can you give me the details? So to be able to share off-market within each other really is helpful as well.
Well, at one point doing this solo, all by myself during COVID, I realized that real estate can be a very lonely experience as a solo
Hmm.
agent. We are the
Yeah.
CMO, we are the CFO, and the CEO, and the admin all at once. And it's really hard to service your clients if you're running around in circles. So I feel that, and you can talk a little bit about it if you'd like, with having an admin as well as a virtual
Hmm.
assistant who does majority of our social media, it really
Yep.
helps us to focus on the client and not all of the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and there's the thing, right? When you're working for yourself and you're covering all of those different roles, there's things that I'm really great at and there's things I'm not really great at. And so being able to, once again, have, a transaction coordinator, have the admin, I can hand off the things that I'm not great at or that I don't really enjoy. So I can really focus more on my business and the clients that really need my attention.
Agreed, agreed. Well, we love having you. So thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Tell me a little bit about your experience working with first-time home buyers.
So, first-time home buyers are probably some of my favorite demographic. And the reason, there's just so much excitement about buying your first home. And the fact that you get chosen to help somebody through this journey, right? Like it really is. And they really trust you and they really go to you for all of the things that encompass real estate. One of the things when I'm sitting down and I'm talking with my first-time home buyers, we talk about the importance of getting pre-approved. And the reason, I explain to them is we want to understand and we want to know your buying power. We want to make sure that we're in the right market for you. That way we can really cut back on any frustration of not looking at homes that fit your needs or and your budget. And then it really sets the tone for how things are going. That way, also, if they find a house that day and we need to put an offer in that day, I don't have to make calls. They don't have to make calls. I'll already have that pre-approval in my hand and I can just write up that offer and submit it same day. But again, because first time home buyers, like this is the biggest purchase that they're ever going to make, right? For the first time. And to be able to be a part of that and be, I mean, you're really close with your clients for like 2 to 3 months, sometimes a little longer in this market, right? And so you really get to know people. And, it's something that they always remember. It's something that we remember. Like I remember buying my first home, it was not in real estate. And I probably wasn't an easy client, right? So being able to take all of that and know just the stress and the excitement and, the ups and downs and the roller coaster of real estate, I love walking people through that.
So, with today's multiple offer environment, how do you guide buyers through that type of transaction?
Well, that type of transaction is inevitable right now in this market for many locations. So, what we talk about are different contingencies, what those contingencies mean. Do they have any of those contingencies? How can, when I'm talking about contingencies, I'm talking about do they have a home sale contingency, a mortgage contingency, inspection contingencies? So, we're talking about all of those and crafting that offer for them that best fits what they need and what they feel comfortable, waiving, limiting, everybody is different on comfort level. And that's what I say, like, you have to live here. I don't, right? This isn't my money, it's your money. And we have to make sure that you are comfortable and happy with this purchase if it gets chosen. So it's just sitting down and really explaining what all of that means and what their options are and helping them come to the one that, feels the best for them.
Well said. So, basically, you guide the buyers through all of the
Mhm.
strategies during a multiple offer situation.
Absolutely. And I take okay, so maybe I'm working with a buyer at this time, but I say, when I'm working with a seller, right? And these are the things that we're looking at, right? These are the things that tend to be most important to sellers. I will preface it, but that I also will reach out to every listing agent where I'm writing an offer and just ask, do you have offers? Are you expecting offers? My client is interested. We would like to craft one. I will have it to you within the next whatever the time frame is. And I let them know that the way that I operate is when I'm writing that offer and I send it, I will follow up with a text or a phone call and just let them know that I have sent it and I want to make sure that they have received it. So it's just really staying on top of the timelines and making sure that my buyers really fully understand what their offer means and the
Great,
value of it.
great, great. When you go on a listing appointment, meaning someone's called you and said, I may want to put my house on the market, how do you sell yourself when you go on that appointment?
When I get those phone calls, first of all, I'm always so happy and so grateful. And, I always thank them for, taking the time and reaching out to me. But, there is that background work, right? And that background work is kind of looking up the history of the home. Has it been on the market? Did they just buy it? What are other homes in that area that are similar selling for? So that way, when I'm going into the appointment, I do have an idea already of kind of what is the market telling me about this property, right?
Hmm.
So once I'm coming in and I do like to see it, right? It's then looking at do they have upgrades? What have they done? What are the benefits of this home that maybe wasn't listed in the past? And then either, with following up with a phone call or another appointment coming in with a more fine-tuned market analysis and then sitting down and having the discussion with the sellers of, what price point were they hoping for? What can we agree on? For me, my number one thing sitting with sellers is making sure that the home appraises for whatever offer. So I tend to be a little conservative because my worst fear is having my sellers accept an offer that then doesn't make sense to a bank and having to renegotiate a price, right? So I always want to make sure that our numbers make sense.
Like that you said makes sense to the bank because I would typically say to sellers, the bank has to approve it. And to me, making sense to the bank sounds more realistic because what do you mean you don't approve it? Well, you don't approve it because the numbers don't support what the buyer's willing to pay. So, Jessica, that
Mhm.
makes sense. Okay. So tell me a little bit about the challenges you are having with today's market.
My challenges are probably what every real estate agent at this moment is feeling about nationwide. Just the extreme shortage of supplies, right? We are in a very strong supply versus demand situation. And prior to COVID, what I would say is, we were taking one buyer to see 10 houses, and now we're taking 10 buyers to see one house. And so there definitely is always competition. And, right now it's a lot of disappointment
Mm.
for a lot of our buyers, right, who maybe aren't getting the first house that they put an offer in. Maybe it's the second, third, fourth, seventh, 15th home, that we have written offers for that finally grab, right? So it's definitely making sure our buyers don't lose their steam in all of the disappointment and just trying to stay positive while diligently working behind the scenes trying to find something that we could show them for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
That's my current frustration. Yeah.
When you're working with a buyer, is there something that you do that sets you apart from other agents in order to find that property?
For me, for buyers and sellers, it's really about finding motivation, right? I tend to be more of an emotional attachment person, and I really want to understand the whole picture. Like, why are we moving? What are we looking for? What is your dream? Like, what do you look for? What's for the next 5 years? What's really driving this passion behind, finding a home or moving or the excitement of it all? So for me, it is really about like a holistic understanding of what my clients' needs are and trying my absolute best to help them with those things. One of the other things that I do when I have clients, and I just recently have done this as well, is if I know they're looking in certain areas, I will send letters to those areas, kind of explaining I have a buyer, this is what they're looking for. If you have any interest, it'll be confidential. You can give me a call. We can talk about maybe an off-market deal. When a home has sold, I am also doing what's called circle prospecting, which is sending letters to that area, letting them know, or if a house was just listed, then just sold. I've had a lot of success with listings in certain areas doing that, where, some people have had my postcard for a year and then decided to call, or, they got it from a friend who gave them my information and they decided to call, or they called me, they got a letter directly and called me, and that has had a lot of success for me and for my clients.
In fact, didn't you just go to West Orange? You sent out some letters in West Orange and you brought
I
clients that have been looking?
I did. So I have one gentleman, he wants to be in one certain development in West Orange. So I sent about 230 letters to the
Wow.
townhome condo area and have gotten, a handful of calls. And I've gone and looked at a few of those units. One of them, we did write an offer for, and it turned out that it did not work. But, following up with those and hoping, if maybe they're not feeling it today, but maybe, next month they'll go, you know what, maybe now's a good time to sell. And, just trying to stay forefront with those sellers so I can help my buyers get a home of where they want to be.
I'm sure your buyers truly appreciate that. Not all agents will do that.
No, not every day. And I always say, like, whatever day it is, I'm like, I'm really good at my job on Mondays. So you're lucky.
Okay, so tell me one of the funniest real estate stories that you have for us.
So probably the one that I hold the nearest and dearest during COVID, I was working with a homicide detective. He was selling his home in one of the areas that I service, and he was getting ready to retire. And he said, I really would like to get into real estate. I think that would be my next career. Do you mind if I walk through this process with you step by step? And I said, oh my gosh, absolutely. Would love for you to understand every step of what we're doing. So by the end of his transaction, which I will tell you was not crazy, like it was a norm for me, right? A normal transaction. But this client wanted to be included in all the back end work. So stuff that maybe my day-to-day clients who don't have this interest see,
Okay.
right? All of the stuff we do on the back end. So by the end of the transaction, obviously we sold his home. He has moved out of state. He is happy. He said to me, I would rather look at 6 dead bodies than do real estate ever again. And I just said to him, I said, you know what? That is probably the highest and best compliment I will ever receive. I said, so thank you very much. But it still gives me a chuckle to this day. It really
That is
does.
so funny. Well, people don't realize how stressful it is to buy and sell a home. And behind death and divorce, moving is the third most stressful life event. So I can understand that dead bodies or moving.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather do real estate every day than look at dead bodies. So the feeling is mutual with this client as far as, we'll stay in our prospective careers.
That's hilarious. So tell me, I know that you went up to West Orange. You live in Hunterdon County. You also lived in Warren County. Where do you work in the state of New Jersey?
Yeah, so state of New Jersey, I am licensed for the whole state, but I mainly have business in Warren, Hunterdon, and Somerset, a little bit in Morris. I will go wherever you want to go and have sold in 9 different counties in the state of New Jersey. If there is something that I don't feel confident for, I do reach out to other agents that do service those areas and work, hand in hand with them for my clients.
I think you and I have the same business perspective as we feel like we can't service our client well, even though it's in the
Mhm.
state of New Jersey, we'll find a real estate agent in that area to refer to our client. So we can refer out to anywhere in the world in the United States, but we also do it in New Jersey as well.
Right, correct.
So if somebody's looking for real estate advice, Jessica, how can they get a hold of you?
They can call me direct. My number is 908-763-8372. You can text, you can call.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Again, Jessica McGourty of the Luxe Service Group at Coldwell Banker Realty. She is our top producer, fantastic agent. Give her a call anytime. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Thanks, Jessica, for joining us.
Thanks, Mary. Bye, everybody.